And welcome once again to Funny Talk with Mangelli and Max. I'm one of your hosts, Tom Mangelli, and this here's my other host. She's choking, Doug Max. Doug Max is always good.
Funny, Tom. Welcome to Funny Talk with Mangelli and Max, and our special guest, Mike Eagan.
Yes.
Who is somewhere with his lovely reason for being Karen Faye, who is also somewhere in the neighborhood.
It's the Mike and Karen show.
Mike, you've been on before. You've been on before, and you've been a great guest.
Oh, well, thanks.
And we wanted to invite you back to see if you could be any greater. Now, Tom and I have a bet on this, so.
Well, I hope you took the under. Now, if you hear some crying and whining, that's our dog that we've locked up in the kitchen for now.
Oh, you don't need to do that for us.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, did they? Oh, maybe he's heard stories about how I am with dogs. Okay.
What kind of dog you have?
A dingo.
He's American dingo.
Maybe a dingo ate your baby. Remember that from something?
You really have a dingo?
Yes,
Yeah.
American dingo and rat terrier.
American dingoes came obviously from Australia. They were brought over, oh God, a couple hundred years ago to the Carolinas, and they became Carolina dingoes. They're wild dogs, but they have been domesticated to the point. And some weigh 40 pounds, some weigh 30. Ours weighs 12. He hooked up with a rat terrier.
A rat terrier.
Wow.
Oh.
Things.
No, a rat terrier isn't a species. That is you're mocking a terrier that maybe was a premature terrier and didn't reach full size.
Now it's ironic because in high school I dated a Carolina bimbo. That's a little bit different, yeah.
She spoke very highly of you.
Yeah, she was high half the time.
And you know who else speaks highly of Tom? Our sponsor, Jack Hoffman of J. Irwin Productions.
That's
we
right.
wouldn't be on air. I don't think either of us would have found meaning the way to go on living were it not for Jack Hoffman of J. Irwin Productions.
That's right. And if you want to put together a comedy show for a fundraiser, an anniversary, a birthday, a private party, a restaurant showcase, Jack is the guy to call. Just email Jack at jirwinproductions.com. He knows all the comics in North Jersey, New York area, and he's great to work with, and his shows are always highly successful.
And no matter what kind of comedy you have in mind, listen, these days, you wanted a comic to come and shave you with like a disposable Bic razor. I'm not endorsing Bic because they haven't given us anyone. But you want something like that? You could find, Tom, wouldn't you go and shave somebody for like $15? You'd be over in 5 minutes.
I give a shave and a haircut for 2 bits. What am I talking about?
I do it with an electric razor.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't go with the razor and the cream.
It's probably safest. Yeah, and it's a good enough look in these days.
Topic too, because you called me previously and said we're going to talk about shaving people. So I think it's good that we stay right. Continue that. What happened to your finger? You got a little thing on your.
This
Band-Aid there.
This it was a really, really bad slice. Immediately after
Did it freeze?
Yeah.
Immediately after
frozen.
Well, what can I say?
Yeah,
Hello?
it's just a slow Wi-Fi connection. We can hear you guys. But
Hello.
you're frozen. You're back. But I cut it. Just after I had sharpened a knife really, really well, and my cutting stone wasn't working right. It's one of these diamond encrusted metal honing stones. So I had to grind it on my grinder like 5 times to get it to be able where I could smoothly sharpen it. I got it really, really sharp, and I'm cutting. I don't know what. Oh, you know what I'm cutting? I'm cutting a zucchini because my girlfriend likes saute. So I've been turned on to sautés, but the zucchini. Yeah.
Well, you were also cutting your finger.
Yeah, right.
And my finger.
Yeah.
Did you know that it was because man stopped eating animals and became agrarian that they needed salt? Because we otherwise got it from blood from eating animals.
Wait, who stopped eating animals?
Who stopped doing comedy and started talking about blood?
Well, my feeling is if you can catch the animal, you can eat it.
There you go.
Mike, speaking of animals, I was trying to remember, you in your former life before, or maybe while you are a comedian, were renowned for training some wild animal. I can't remember what it was. It was an odd animal, not a lemur, not a lemur.
Oh, you're talking about the taper.
Tapir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taper, I don't even know her.
Tom.
Bada boom. Yeah.
Oh my God, Tom, you're going to get pulled
Anything
over
you want
with.
to know about the taper, or as the elites say, the tapir.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, it's a, you can say it either way. It's one of those kind of things.
No, but if you say
either way.
taper, somebody's going to say,
Way.
You mean the tapir? In a condescending way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to know.
It's like Francis and Frank. It's the same. Anyway,
Yeah.
What about him?
So, has it learned any new tricks?
No, just the one right where he comes out at the end is about all I can ask of him. I mean, they're not highly intelligent animals. A lot of, as I mentioned, a lot of people think that they're marsupials, and then they realize that they have no pouch, and they feel silly.
Yeah, Mike.
I know.
What's
I felt
silly
silly.
is you're thinking a lot of people think that they're marsupials. I don't think a lot of people think about the tapir.
Well, in today's political climate, I think you're better off thinking about tapirs.
I think so too. I think I would vote for one. Wouldn't you? I'd write in.
Independent tapir. Yeah, I would.
Okay.
So, Mike, I miss performing with you. Well, I miss performing in general, but specifically, I always have fun when we're on the same show.
Yeah, it's been a lean 6 months, hasn't it?
Oh my God, it's the only thing lean about me.
Yeah, I was going to say, not for Tom.
Well,
but then that would be cruel.
That would be, but you went ahead and said that anyway, so
I know.
Good.
I want to stay friends with him though, because my girlfriend is very worried about a global food shortage.
Uh-huh.
And anyway, I want to be prepared.
Tastes just like chicken.
This is going to taste. I'm pretty sure this is.
They freeze.
This is going to taste like a brujol.
Freezes. Hello, you're frozen.
Yeah,
Hello?
that can happen periodically, and so maybe I don't know if you've got other things on in the house, other Wi-Fi's on or something like that. Sometimes it can, change.
Well, if we all put on a sweater, we won't be frozen.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh my
All
God.
right, now it won't freeze anymore.
Okay.
Well, just go slow, and then it'll catch up with you.
So, Mike, have you been out at all this whole time, or?
Let's see. Karen and I have worked. What that place? That's
The Vault.
The Vault up
And,
in Yardley.
Oh, that's right.
It's
Yeah.
a big tent, and I think they're getting ready to end the series because it's getting cold.
Yeah.
But
Is that
I've worked there a number
Yardley,
of times.
PA?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, there was a restaurant in Yardley, PA. I love. I can't remember the name of it. But
I'm sure
it
it's
was very
closed down now.
crowded.
Yeah.
Right on the river.
So how were those shows when they did it?
Actually, people are so desperate for comedy, they even laughed at what I said. So
That's pretty desperate.
yeah, that is desperate. And
That's a good reason for me to get back to it.
I think I'm in Sellersville with Joe Conklin next month.
Uh-huh.
That's an indoor gig, but I guess they'll be properly separated, or we sit in their laps or something. I don't know. And there's been a few jobs here and there, but there's not many. There's no work.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. Well, I feel bad for the younger guys, who have families and do this for a living. They're both comics, and they're pulling down $2,000 a week out on the boats, and they home in a miserable relationship with you guys.
Yeah, I'm thankful for my day job. That's all I have to say.
Oh yeah. Well, we're too old to have day jobs, so we just sit here and wait for phone calls.
Speaking of that, I mean, you've been around for a long time. You've been doing comedy for a long time.
Long time.
With the recent closing of Dangerfields, I wanted to ask you: have you ever worked there, or have you ever worked with Rodney?
I work with Rodney. Yeah, I started working there I got to the city in '81, January, And by the time I finished with the comic strip and Catch a Rising Star, I wandered on down to Dangerfields on 61st and First around 1983. And I did Rodney's show out in Vegas. He had his own club out there at the Tropicana for a while. And I worked out there. And I got there after he did his 2 HBO specials, so I wasn't a part of that. But yeah, oh God, I worked with Rodney. I knew him fairly well. Yeah.
What was he like as a person?
A miserable son of a gun.
Was he really?
He was a very unhappy guy.
Yeah.
Ironically, he was unhappy because he didn't make it until he was 48. Could you imagine being that young and making it? I mean, really, 48?
I didn't start comedy till I was 50.
Yeah, well, I'm still waiting. No,
So do you think he was happily married? Because, I know my girlfriend gets very sensitive when I use her or use an imaginary girlfriend in my act. Everybody's going to know it's me. No, honey. Anyway, so he does all these jokes, not just Take My Wife, Please, but, so many.
That was Henny Youngman.
Oh, I know. It is about your girl. It is about her, and I know that, and everybody does. And she's right to be angry with you. Now, back to the.
That's how wonderful she is.
Yeah. Rodney's was his real name is Phil Roy, and actually before it was Phil Roy, it was Jacob. Oh God, I forget his last name. He's had 3 names: his birth name, and then he went to Phil Roy, and then he became Rodney Dangerfield. But no, he was not a guy. Just generally speaking, I guess, I don't know what he was like before he made it, but he certainly wasn't terribly happy after he did. But he'd come to the club on occasion. He wasn't terribly close to his business partner, so they really meshed too well. I worked with Rodney on stage, and all the biggies, Robin Williams. I mean, everybody came through that.
Mike, your voice is breaking up for me a little bit. Tom, are you hearing him?
I'm hearing that too. I'm trying to
So I wonder if maybe next time it happens, maybe you should try turning off the camera and see if that stabilizes it.
You really don't want to look at Mike, do you?
No,
it's not that at all. I want to make sure we don't lose.
Well, the reason it broke up is because I'm very emotional about it. I got him to laugh. Look at that. I did it. I got him to laugh.
Mike, I remember I met you at the Comics Breakfast. We have a local New Jersey comedians breakfast.
Those were the days.
Yeah.
And, originally they had it as apostrophe S comedians and until somebody complained and they made it S apostrophe as it should have been breakfast. Anyway, so immediately, I liked you right away. I didn't have any idea who you were, but we bonded over our mutual hatred of a former president. Yeah.
Millard Fillmore.
Yeah.
See, Mike and I bonded over French toast.
Right. French toast.
Yeah, you need to use hot water to get it to to unstick yourselves.
Yes.
You said you bonded over French toast. It's the maple syrup sticking you together.
Well, the hot water. Yeah. We were both steamed.
Anyway, the breakfasts were all wonderful. Anyway, but we share similar political interests and I'm sure similar political fears and so on and so forth. But
I'm still haunted by Millard Fillmore. So I stay awake at night thinking about James K. Polk. What the hell happened?
You know what you have to do?
You gotta let go of the 1840s.
I'm going to send you, I got a Millard Fillmore bobblehead I keep on the dashboard of my car. So when I think of him, instead of feeling angst, I'm entertained.
Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a store called Corvettes. Remember
Corvettes?
Corvettes?
Of course.
Well, for a while,
EJ Corvettes.
Well, for a while they had Rodney Dangerfield doing TV commercials for them. And for President's Day or President's Week, whatever the hell it was, he dressed up as Martin Van Buren with these bushy sideburns, and he'd get on and say, I'm Martin Van Buren. Nobody ever had a sale for me. I tell you, I get no respect.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Hey, do you want a little trivia about Martin Van Buren?
yeah,
I have a piece.
okay.
First president born in the United States. He was
Oh,
born
really?
after the Declaration of Independence. The first
Wow.
one. Yeah, all the rest were born before that, and they were subjects of the British.
What did you write a high school paper about him, Mike?
If I ever graduate, I will. But he was the very first president, 1837.
Interesting. That is
So
forever in my data bank.
How is it that you happen to know that?
Well, I'm burdened with the fact that I know everything. And
Mike, I
I knew you were going to
empathize.
say that.
yeah.
Okay,
You know, I
so,
actually got fired from the psychic hotline. I kept picking the phone up before it rang.
Uh-huh.
Just
Oh,
too overqualified. What can I say?
Try the veal. You're going to be here all week, right?
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, what was
the veal will not.
right. Oh, it's been around longer than that. You never ate at Rodney's place. The kitchen
I
was
just
downstairs.
remember when I got to Dangerfields the first time, I was promised that if I came to the show, I would get booked for another show by an unscrupulous scumbag that of course, never worked for again. But I remember the really tiny, light drinks for $15 a pop or whatever, and the MC was and the comics
$12.50
were
hamburgers.
huh?
Hamburgers were $12.50.
I didn't try a hamburger.
Oh, we used to go downstairs. There was downstairs, the bathrooms were downstairs, and there was the comics room off to the right where everyone went in and smoked pot. And if you went further back and to the right, all the way to the end was the kitchen, and I put that in quotes. And people that were in this country illegally making hamburgers and steaks of sorts, and the food was awful.
Of
But people would
sorts.
buy it, and they actually had a kitchen. So,
And listen, one of the clubs that I love in New York, they have two things on their menu. Nachos Supremos and Muchos Nachos Supremos. Those are the two food items.
take it or leave it.
Foodstuffs.
well, aren't you vegetarian, Max?
It's Doug and
Doug.
and no, but I've honestly, Karen, I've been thinking a lot about becoming a vegetarian. Not just because of the world global, possible food shortage and really not wanting to convert to cannibalism, but
No,
I want you to know. Although I have a lot of cans of tomato sauce. Like a lot of cans, Tom.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I've been thinking about it. My girlfriend actually got into the Betty Crocker cook-off finalist, where she could have won $1 million with a black bean and salsa burger recipe.
well, yeah. What happened?
What happened?
She didn't win.
Oh,
It's a nice story up until the end.
Yeah, some bitch with this cookie recipe. Yeah. Anyway, how Mike? Mike and Karen, I want to know how the two of you have been coping with COVID and dealing with it and with one another. You've locked up the guns. I know that.
We have 3 floors. It's a 3-floored apartment.
But that's another
House,
story.
whatever the hell we call this.
house.
Oh, Tom.
And we get along pretty well. She pretty much lives on her phone and Facebook and all that. She does all that kind of stuff. And I sit and watch MSNBC. And once in a while, I'll put on Fox and she'll go crazy because she'll hear Trump's voice. And
Mike, you're just like me.
yeah.
Hold your friends close and your enemies closer.
Oh, my
You
God.
got to keep an eye on movements.
I watch a lot of Netflix, because I just, or I walk the dog. The dog hides from us
Right.
because we walk the dog so much.
And she goes over to Cherry Hill to visit her daughter and granddaughter. And I go to Audubon to visit my son and my grandchildren. And sometimes we go to each other's places. So we have other things and other lives,
Nice. Audubon sounds like a great place to see birds too.
Yes, named after the man who found them, John J. Audubon. Or it's named after that guy.
Yeah.
You are just a font of
Well,
worthless
actually, he
knowledge.
pointed
Yes,
that
I
out
know.
before I did.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a big, you're not really a font if you know Audubon is associated with birds,
Right, right. Yeah. It's not like Martin Van Buren. So anyway,
Why am I thinking of the guy in Die Hard, the dump truck driver that knew who the 23rd president was and that saved the lives of the kids in school with the bomb in it? Remember that? I think that
Yeah.
was Die Hard.
was
One
that
of
Die
those,
Hard
yeah.
or was that with the bus?
Yeah. No, it wasn't a bus. He was a dump truck driver and he was a font of knowledge and he just happened to know. I don't think it was the shortest lived president.
Oh, that's William Henry Harrison.
Maybe it was
30
him.
days. Went
Might
out
have
in
been him.
January without an overcoat. Did his acceptance speech. 30 days later, he died of pneumonia.
Wow.
William Henry Harrison.
You sure it wasn't COVID?
Might have been. It's been around. It seems like it's been around since 1835. So it could be. But he was a distant relative to Benjamin Harrison, who you well know was a president in the 1870s. But William
Wow.
Henry Harrison, his presidency was taken over by his vice president, John Tyler, who was a famous general, Tippecanoe and Tyler too. They
Yeah.
were referring to John Tyler. Anything else you'd like to know? The burden of knowing everything, as you can see, is time consuming. She's going to go puke. And
Now, was history your subject in high school and when you were in
Well, it was the only that and sociology were the only two classes I stayed awake for.
Oh, really?
Really, my interest in math and science is not.
That was
not
me.
there. So
That was me. I was not good in geography.
Yeah, I liked English too.
But I will tell you, I've often
Well-
thought this, that I wonder nowadays if I was designing curriculum, I would do less history and more current affairs. Because I remember my kids are now, they're 24 and 6. But going up in a decent school system, even in high school, they were not aware of very fundamental civics things. And I grew to learn how important things like Supreme Court justices and elections are.
I went to Catholic school, and our history slant was bent towards a religious, a tone. It wasn't. They never talked about slavery and about all the crimes and all the societal problems of the times. It was just Columbus was a good guy, found America. They'll tell you about what he did to the Indians. So,
Right.
we had a whitewash kind of version of history, as we
Well,
all did growing up.
Yeah, that wasn't just a Catholic school. I was a public
Yeah,
school
right.
teacher, and it's just the way they do it.
I went
They
to,
have in
well,
the
I
past.
didn't go to Catholic, I went to Jewish school. We learned that Catholics ate Jew babies. That
It
was,
is. It's also QAnon. That's part of the. Got him again.
I joke about the people,
Catholics
I
do
joke
not-
about the people that talk about the global Jewish cabal, and they use, and I've seen it on Facebook, through associates of associates or whatever. And they're really people that believe there's a Jewish cabal. And when I'm in the mood and I have the time and I see some sort of hint that these people believe that, the Rothschilds, that's one of the hints. So I'll just, chime in and I'll ask another Jewish friend if they're coming to the meeting next month,
They were probably the richest French Jews in the world ever. The Rothschilds, I would imagine, weren't they?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, who else?
What if you don't know, what,
Yeah, really.
why would you ask us?
I don't know.
I don't know that either, Mike.
Oh, I knew the second one
You
was
know
the
history,
guy on,
but you're not keeping up with what's going on now. You're the historian. With Tom and I, no.
Well, current events will be history tomorrow.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
true.
I know. We need a few more distractions. There'll be something going. I think, I suspect we're going to have a war with another country. We're going to need a war in about 2 weeks because America loves a wartime commander. So the war with COVID isn't enough. I think we're going to invade Canada. That's my prediction. People, maybe Mexico, but I believe I believe our president will lead our forces into Mexico or Canada.
Well,
Who's with me?
give us a call when you get there.
I'm here, Mike. I'm here already.
Another bit of trivia. Can you stand another piece of trivia?
Yeah, I love it.
Why don't we
All
make
right.
it a guessing game? Let's see if we know.
Name that trivia. You know, down in well, throughout the country now, but primarily down along the Texas border down there, in El Dorado and Laredo and all those places. It's most people speak Spanish, even though they're Americans. They speak
Right.
Spanish. They're American citizens. If you go north, all the way to Maine, which, by the way, you could fit all of the New England states in the state of Maine. That's how big Maine is. People don't realize how huge it is. But when you get to the very top of Maine, where it's very sparsely populated, and it's America, the prominent language is French. And they don't have our telephone systems. You can't use your cell phones up there. And it's
Really?
all run by the phone. And
Wow.
we never consider the fact that we have American citizens who English is their second language and French is their first language.
Wow.
And has nothing to do with John Tyler. That's all. So I throw that out there.
That's good to know. I'll keep that in my memory bank for next Jeopardy.
If you want to speak French and not leave America, go to Maine. Go to northern Maine and people will speak French.
You know, I've
You want to
had
speak
people tell me.
Spanish? Go to the store.
Uh-huh.
You're making me think of
People
Woody
tell you what.
Allen's "I Shot a Moose" story, which I loved.
I
Tom,
shot-
did you ever hear that?
God,
I told
very
you about
funny
that,
story.
Tom.
Tell it.
Did you ever hear that?
I'm not sure I'm hearing it now.
The moose story, Woody
Not yet.
Allen's moose story. I shot a moose.
I don't remember it. I remember you telling me, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, I shot a moose. I strapped it on the hood of my car. I'm driving back. The Maine State Troopers pulled me over because evidently there's a law. You're not allowed to drive with the moose on your hood between 9 p.m. at night. And anyway, so I got blah, blah, blah. I drove. I was late. I had to go to a costume party. But so I went in dressed as something or other. Unbeknownst to me, the moose got off the car and went in. It won the costume party. The Rosenbergs were furious because they were also dressed up as a moose. Remember?
And I'm pretty sure Woody Allen did it better, but yeah, now I do.
Hey, who did your material better than you, Tom?
Yeah, did you know Doug and I went on a show and we swapped material? I did his act, he did my act. It was the first time he actually got laughs.
Oh, gee.
You know, my first marriage, there was some swapping involved, and it was the first time I got laughs.
We have a friend who does a joke, something
How
like
can
that.
I
I'm
tell you?
thinking, what's
good.
his? What's Paul Goldenberg's line about? Going out to. I forget. He was making love with his wife.
Doug
No.
is great at mangling other people's jokes.
Yeah. No, but I do it
So it
so
turns out.
poorly. I do it so poorly. It turns out to be funny, Tom. So I'm filling time.
Uh-huh.
That's what life's all about, filling time.
That's it.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's an easy philosophy. That's it. You try to get through and have as more good moments than bad moments,
That's it.
and then you die.
Right. Fortunately for us, this is not one of those moments. But
Are you quite sure?
so it's now it's always a pleasure talking with you guys. The cat behind you.
Oh,
There's
yes.
a cat?
I have a cat named Joey Bag of Donuts, and I found this at a curiosity shop, and he looks a lot like my cat, so I got it hanging
You
at
couldn't-
the office.
You couldn't take a picture of your cat and buy a frame. I'll buy you
No,
a
he's
inside
very-
frame for $3. For God's
He's very
sake.
shy. He doesn't like cameras.
He doesn't move much on that hook.
And start the dead cat jokes. I remember one with the cat with the frozen, the dead tail stuck in the ground as like I don't know, a doorpost or it was holding a lamp,
Okay.
Didn't you
I
get
don't
that
know.
101 Uses for a Dead Cat, Tom? You know that book.
I know 101 elephant jokes that
I know
made me the
those too.
comic I am today.
We'll start now, and that should finish out the show. Wait,
Yeah, that'll work.
That's
So how do you know there was an elephant in your refrigerator?
Oh, because he's dressed like a moose?
No, there's footprints in the butter.
I always bring back the old joke, I
No,
know.
yeah.
It's called a
Just 'cause-
callback.
It's the butter, right?
What? It's
Because there's footprints in the butter.
footprints in the cream cheese.
Okay.
It's-
Butter's funnier, because then you could say there's no margarine for error.
Butter. I don't even know her.
Well, you better get to know her.
How come elephants' ankles are wrinkled?
Well, because something that they broke their trunk. I don't
They
know.
like jumping out of trees.
That's what it was. I should have remembered that.
How come the elephant is wearing his blue sneakers?
Red
'Cause
ones.
the
are
red ones are in the wash.
Right.
Wow. That was
I
a book.
memorized that whole book, Doug.
Why are elephants gray?
This white
Why?
was taken.
Because they like to wear maroon sweaters. And it goes together. Sorry.
And
Hey,
there's some of these jokes that we might remember that I'm pretty sure we should not tell.
right.
Yes, yes.
This one was just between you and me. You
Yeah.
guys. Yeah. So anyway, Dangerfield's had an elephant once. No, that's about all. That's all the. They said they couldn't afford the upkeep anymore.
Yeah.
They fell to only weekend shows, I know, for many, many years. And,
Oh, really?
just
When I
came
left, they were
back.
doing them every night. I left
Yeah,
there.
back in the day, but it fell into, I don't know if it was 10 or more years, and they were doing, weekend shows only.
Really?
And they came back, could it be 5 or 6 years ago, and did an awful lot of showcase shows.
Well, when I performed there a couple of years ago, they had about 20 comics on. Maybe one or two decent ones. The rest were like pretty much open micers. And there was like a 6-person bringer requirement. I busted my hump to get 6 people, convince them to go. And I was like the 17th comic to go up. By the
3
time
minutes.
By the time I went up, there was no time left. Everybody else had left because their comic that they came to see was already done. It was a train wreck.
Yeah, so it had a name. It had a good name and a good reputation. But
Who, Rodney?
Mike, why do you think Rodney wasn't happy? Just because was he working at comedy for many, many years and hadn't been discovered until 46?
Yeah, and which to me, looking back on it now, 46 is pretty young to be discovered. But yeah, and I just think that he was probably just one of those people that was pretty unhappy all his life. Some people make choices in life, and he chose to be miserable. And
There are a lot of unhappy comics.
And some people are happy, the happiest when they're unhappy for some reason.
Because that's normal. They're happiest when they're comfortable, and they're comfortable when they're unhappy. I guess they feel that that's the way they're supposed to be. But if you lack drive and ambition, which fortunately I am at, I didn't feel competitive with anybody, so I was always happy. I mean, I didn't really care, and I still don't care about those things.
Something I'm glad you put it that way. I've always felt that way too. If when people would make sly little attacks to me, I'm like, I let it brush off and realize they don't like me in their lane, and that's a good thing. And I'm just I'm going to avoid conflict with them and go on and do my own thing.
Well, if you consider, hey, dude, you suck, a sly kind of a thing, then that's good. Whatever works for you. I'm just kidding you.
Well, normally the things that people think about me are true. So, I'm comfortable with them. It tells me they're intelligent.
Doug, what are you more, and Mike, what are you more comfortable with, or would you rather have somebody tell you the honest truth that you sucked on stage, or someone to sugarcoat and say, oh, great set, and give you a fist bump?
The latter.
Oh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Honesty has no place in comedy. Absolutely none.
Then
See,
how come you
that's
phone
what
me
you've been
out
doing
for?
wrong.
So I will tell you that one of the things, and it happens less now, or it happened when I was doing comedy, but it happened more early on. People would come up to me after a show, and I got to tell you a joke.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
you don't. I don't need to hear it. I don't want to waste the time. I've heard it before. It's not going to be funny. I can't use it. But it's always for me to use in my act. And I've always appreciated the contribution. And then the people that fix your jokes.
Yeah, I like those, the repairmen that come up to you. You know, the punchline should be, but most of the time I found when somebody says, I got a joke for you, it's really funny, and it'll start out with the N-word. Thank you. You know, I mean, these people are such knuckleheads, and you can't use it. I don't like dirty stuff, but there are certain things you stay away from. But I've gotten a few gems along the way, a couple of customers. I did this long bit about, well, it's not too politically correct, but I do it anyway, about working the comedy clubs out west for the Indians. They have their own comedy club, Navajos, things like that. Anyway, so I was doing this bit about, I played this Indian club, and the place was packed. They all had reservations, bada boom. And it was that kind of thing. And this American Indian came up to me after the show and said, I thought it was funny. He says, you know why Indians don't like snow? I said, no, I don't know why. I said, because it's white and it's on our land. And I said, that's a pretty good joke. Openly, I mean,
That is.
I would have never thought of that. Once in a while, you get one that.
Now he's opening at Navajos.
That's right. Right over
A
there.
comedian whose name I won't mention came up to me early on in my career and gave me what turned out to be one of the greatest compliments I ever got. I think I had done a 5-minute guest spot at what?
He said, you're handsome.
Yeah. He said, Doug, I did like 5 minutes. He goes, Doug, I want you to know I could listen to you for 20 minutes. This was like my 3rd or 4th show, and I thought, if a person came up to you and said, Doug, I could listen to you for 20 minutes, you'd be insulted. But I was complimented.
Sure, my name isn't Doug.
But he went on to tell a story of a guy coming up to him after a comedy show. This was a comic. And who came up to him and said, insert comic's name, I didn't think you were funny, but I recognize you got a lot of talent.
Wow. There's a compliment with the left hand.
Yeah, really.
And Karen's the only woman who's ever said I could do 20 minutes. So, that's why we're together.
How many guys?
After shows, I'll see people walking out, and I can see they're thinking, I don't want to shake his hand for some reason. I know.
You can blame it on COVID. Nobody's shaking anybody's hand.
Well, now I can. Yeah. But in the regular times, it was because of a little story about a dog that I tell. Probably I should stop telling that story, Tom, right?
Probably.
The
dog's been dead for 10 years.
What is it?
8 years. I was on a date, my first date after my 20-year marriage, my first date. And while the woman went up to get her purse, I went into the foyer and I pet her Cocker Spaniel. She sees me 30 seconds later, yells down, get away from the dog, go in the kitchen, like I'm a dog. I go into the kitchen, she comes down, gets a towel and starts blotting up the carpet behind the dog. I said, I'm sorry, did I get your dog excited and pissed on the carpet? She said, not exactly. I could see it didn't pee, or she told me it didn't pee. I could see it didn't poop. I pet that dog for 30 seconds. I gave him an orgasm.
You're good.
Are you kidding?
You're good.
Happy petting.
But the funny, and the way I tell that story when I tell it in comedy, is the funny part of that story for me is that woman knew what I could do to her dog in 30 seconds.
Right. And
I didn't get anything from her.
who
You multiply that by 7.
Oh,
Well-
multiply that by 7 to get human time? 3.5 minutes. She would have been really, really happy. I didn't get anything from her.
Well,
Thank you, Tom.
it's sad. It's sad.
That was the story that made me think. That made me think God wanted me to become a better Jew and to do comedy.
and stop petting dogs.
Yeah.
Was it a boy dog or a girl dog?
It was, wait a minute, let me think. How was I petting it? Hang on,
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
hang on. Yeah, it was a boy dog, Mike.
Oh, jeez.
The
No,
other
nothing wrong with
line,
that. I'm not judgmental. You can pet either sex, but if it had been a girl, I was going to say that bitch, and it would have been funny. But
It
no,
would have
it
been
had to be a
funny.
boy dog.
I'm sorry,
Doug,
his name was
Doug is
Billy.
good at forecasting or averting any kind of humor in a podcast. So,
Right.
he was good at diverting that from the
Tom?
punchline. Yeah.
I think we're recreating that whole thing today.
Comedy is like making love. You wanna
Yeah.
build
5
up
minutes
the
and you're
tension.
And a 2-drink minimum.
Got him 4 times. I got Doug 4 times.
Can I have a little more Novocaine, please? So you wanna build up slowly, right? You
Yeah.
you dim the lights. You
Right.
create a nice, intimate mood.
You
You
grab a
make people
pillow.
feel comfortable. Our audience are lying back on sofas with pillows under their head, except in Ethiopia, where they're on the sand with maybe a cardboard box or blanket or something,
I hear the show is very popular in Ethiopia,
Mike,
especially among
It
the
is.
Jewish community.
it
Ethiopian Jews
Shabbat
love it.
shalom, Shabbat shalom, my Ethiopian Jew friends.
Yep.
Kazmir, thank you for the matzah, by the way. It was delicious.
We just had the matzah.
No, we didn't have, we had matzo ball. soup.
Matzo balls.
Matzo ball.
Does
We
she
do
make
all
you
those-
do you make matzo ball soup?
For Rosh Hashanah.
Really? I was making it a lot for my dad. He near the end of his life, he found it very comforting.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I put some stuff in it, but
Yeah. Sure, why not? The hell?
it's a Jewish penicillin and sleeping medicine.
Right.
And
What did he
another
die
matzo
of?
ball.
What did he die of? Matzo balls.
Matzo balls. How was I supposed to know I really shouldn't put that extra egg in? Okay.
You got to talk to her about that. I went to Catholic school.
I'm a
So
meatball
I've
kind of guy.
discovered Jews and Catholics share a very common foundation of guilt.
Yes.
Am I right?
Guilt. Yes.
Guilt
We
is a
didn't
big
really.
part, yeah.
You had hell over you. I think what Jews had over us was we talked about this our last show. Between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the New Year and Day of Atonement, you're supposed to ask the people that you've sinned against for forgiveness. So, you could go to confession every week and be cleaned up and live a sin-free life. Except you had the guilt of what are you going to tell the priest? Me, I couldn't tell a priest, I dipped Susie's hair in ink. I had to go to Susie and say, hey, I'm sorry about dipping your hair in ink. You wanna bang?
Right? Sure.
So
You look at yes, every once in a while.
anyway, I tried to be
that
good
turns
because
them
I
on.
didn't want to have to go to people directly. You could pray to Jesus and eat a wafer and you'd be good. You could slash somebody's tires, put a banana in their tailpipe, break somebody's window if you didn't like them, go to confession, and you're clean, right? And you could go to heaven.
Well, once you get through the Hail Marys and the Our Fathers, yeah.
What was the most you ever had
Well-
to say, Tom?
I was telling Doug on the last show.
Were you raised Catholic?
I was raised Catholic, yeah. And I was a goody two-shoes growing up. I didn't swear, I didn't curse, I didn't do anything. So I had to make things up when I went to confession,
I did that too.
right? But then
what'd
I
you
had
make
the
up?
guilt of knowing that I lied to a priest, so I had to add extra 3 Hail Marys every time.
Well, I used to go in there at 12, 13 and make up stories. Well, some I made up, but all based in
Did
reality.
you ever make up stories that cracked you up and you had to practice telling them with a straight face?
Well, you don't worry about the face because it's dark in there. They have a
Yeah, you
curtain
don't
that
see 'em.
lights up the screen.
They
I did
don't
have a
see
priest
you.
say to me once, really loud. He said, "You what?" And And there are people outside in line. It's like voting. They wait to go in.
Father
Right?
Fitzpatrick,
And
it was
I
dark, it
opened
was
that curtain
moist,
and
it
back up.
slipped in,
Everybody's
you
looking
know?
at me, wondering what I did.
Do you
You
remember
can make a
what you
priest
did?
say, "What?"
Did you remember?
No.
What was it, Mike? Something to do with a girl, maybe?
Well, I was about 12. I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure it had to do with sex, or the lack thereof, or the pursuant of it, or you know, mind. I don't know.
I would.
Something
I don't know what
crazy.
I don't know what I would have. I don't know what I would have made up for confession. Did you ever think you could? Did you ever try the? I didn't do anything bad this week. Did that not go over? The priest tried to. You must have touched yourself, young man. Tell me about that.
Oh, there was always a backup plan, and this was it. You had nothing else to say. All you had to say was, "I had impure thoughts 5,000 times in the past week." Impure thoughts went over very big in the Catholic Church growing up. Impure thoughts. Every thought was impure. So, right? Didn't you
Tell
ever
me
say that?
more. Tell me more, my son.
Well, there's
Get it out to you.
two levels of sins. There's the mortal and the venal. And I believe what was the exchange rate was 11 venials to one mortal, something like that. But yeah, we had classifications of sin. So we did.
So mortal would be killing someone? Is mortal, would that be a single one mortal?
Depends. If you smother them with a pillow, that would be venal. But if you blew their head off with a gun, that would probably inch up to mortal. It depends on how you kill.
I wanted them to
You can tell
die
these Jewish guys.
quietly in their sleep, Father. That's okay, my son.
That's right.
But it was hard for the priest, the Catholic priest, to imagine what an impure thought was.
Don't think so, Tom.
Well,
So,
I think it's thinking of me.
did either of you ever get more than what's a like a decent punishment? Like, did you ever hear your friends getting 100 Hail Marys, or what was
We had one bully in
I think the
school.
going rate when I was going, yeah.
Good.
Well, it's what priest you got. Some guys would, let you up with, give me a decade, a 10, give me 10 Hail Marys. Some guys throw a rosary at you. Do the rosary. You're talking an afternoon. So it depends.
is that one Hail Mary for every rubbing of a bead?
No, we had one priest that used to be a gym teacher. He made us do push-ups.
There you go. Yeah. What do you make the girls do?
Yeah, a little over to the left, son.
I was an altar boy.
So was I.
I grew up so fast, I had to alter my gown 4 times.
Really?
Oh, Tom.
Yeah.
As they say in comedy, don't open with that.
No, yeah.
I was an older boy too. Did you have to do it in Latin? I learned Latin.
I
So
took
should be
3
Dominus sacrificium de manibus tuus et laudum authorium nostrum. The whole thing. Yeah, I remember a lot of that.
No, I was a Vatican II baby, but I took 3 years of Latin in high school.
I took my freshman year. We had to. I went to St. Joe's in Camden. It's now, I think it's a leather bar. But when I was there, it did. It ended. I graduated in 1969, and
Wow.
it went under in 1977, I think. But yeah, I was St. Joe's in Camden, right on Mount Ephraim Avenue, in South Jersey down here, and yeah, I did the whole altar boy thing. Yeah, the whole thing. It was fun.
What was St. Joe famous for?
St. Joe's Bisons. It was initially called, when it opened in 1948, called St. Joe's Polish.
No, I mean the saint. The saint.
St. Joseph? He was famous, of course, for aspirin. What? For the kids, for the kids, St. Joe's aspirin for children.
No, wait a minute. Are they still in business? I think that's very funny, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, now I don't know what I think. What was St. Joseph?
Patron saint of something. Oh,
St.
Google.
Joseph,
This is what my girlfriend says to me all the time. Every time I ask her a question, you know what I hear? Google it.
I'm doing that right now.
Okay,
That's
well,
what I
if you're
tell
doing
all the
that, then I'm not going to bother. I'm going to talk to Mike about other saints that have been formative in your life. Did you wear a saint medal?
Do I wear a medal? No, I don't. Well, when I used to fly, I'd have to take it off all the time. No, I don't wear a medal.
What kind of
I don't know
what
if this
kind
is
of
gonna-
flying did you do?
What's that?
Were you a pilot?
No, I would just get up on a roof and flap like hell.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
I don't want to hurt. I hope this doesn't bother your audience, but I must admit, after 12 years of Catholic school, and I graduated a full-blown atheist, and that's what I am.
I kind of similar. I actually was thinking of becoming a rabbi.
Yeah.
I was thinking of becoming a rabbi, and I remember I met with the rabbi and I said I wasn't sure I could be a rabbi because I didn't believe in God. And he said, you don't have to believe in God to be a good rabbi. I thought that was kind of interesting. It was reform, obviously. Anyway, then I became, after existentialism in college, I became an agnostic for a few years and then converted to full-blown atheism also.
Yeah, I went to the agnostic period too, and then I just
I was like,
path.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. And then I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I believe in the devil, obviously, because he
You're
won.
a comedian.
Well, he won the election, so you can't argue with what you see. So I don't want to hurt your ratings or anything, but it's just,
Tom does not like talking politics on air, and I've been pretty honest in the times I've done political humor. I've quoted our president and usually get great laughs from half the audience. So it's polarizing. For people that come to be entertained and pay money to laugh, they don't need to hear that this comic thinks they're an idiot.
Yeah, I agree. No, I don't do political humor. I mean, I have a lot of it in my mind, but I don't do it very much because you'll lose half the audience. I've got a few jokes. I did one about because I'm a trivia nut. It's been over 100 years since we've had a president with facial hair, and I said, of course, my hopes were dashed when Hillary lost. So that was. And I get half the audience, and I said, "Don't worry, I got one for the other side." And I try to be even-handed. And what was my joke?
You can't spell grope without G.
Oh yeah, and you can't spell grope without GOP. And the other one was I said everybody's worried about the statues. The statues, that was the big thing. Remember? I said everybody.
Oh yeah.
I said, what about the pigeons? And I said, have you ever been out and you can't find a bathroom? And I said, guy's been flying over this courtyard for 20 years, and one morning he goes, "Where's Robert E. Lee?" And shit on a Buick. We're in a rush. Let's go. And then I said, I have a Chihuahua. He's here illegally. And, just a little joke. But I don't get into how I really feel about politics, about
the few times I've done it, I've simply quoted him directly.
Yeah.
And that's been pretty good. I began one recently. It wasn't long ago. I said I was listening to the news this morning, and I heard our president say he was a student of history. And he kept on talking. I don't know what he said after that because I was laughing so hard.
Right. Oh, he's hysterical. I mean, he really is. He says a lot.
I'm sure you agree, though. He's not so funny anymore. But he's predictable.
Now, Mike, you mentioned Chihuahuas. Did you know that in Mexico they have a whole string of convenience stores called Chihuahuas?
Really?
Chihuahuas.
Chihuahuas. Oh.
That one you can open with.
Yeah, you can open it up.
As soon as you get to Monterey.
I want to open up a Wawa in Chihuahua so I can answer the phone. Hello, Chihuahua Wawa. Chihuahua Wawa. That's actually pretty good. Can I do that, Tom?
Feel
Yeah,
free.
Tom does Mawa Wawa.
Well,
Oh, yeah, the Mawa Wawa.
it's a entirely different joke.
Yes, yes.
Entirely different.
Yeah.
Because there's a town in Mexico called Chihuahua.
There
Yeah.
is.
Yes, there is a town in Mexico called Chihuahua.
And they're short, even for Mexican people, they're short. So,
Oh, my. You
Oh,
know
was
who
that-
are short people, though? I lived in a town in New Jersey that had a very large population of people from Guatemala.
oh, Short Hills.
And they,
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh,
I know.
people on the
Almost got-
radio, I'm nodding my head
almost got
back
you
and
there.
forth, recognizing that as another example of American humor, our Ethiopian listener.
All our friends over in Ethiopia, big hiya. Anyway, go ahead.
He keeps on writing saying, "I love your show, send food." And I feel horrible. I haven't sent anything.
That's pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
Sometimes I'll shake my shirt in an envelope and just mail that. Whatever crumbs fall out.
Oh my God.
That's gonna cost extra, buddy.
Oh God. I like that one though. I
Thank
put
you.
that in the middle of the act.
Yeah.
Once they get to know you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, then no. By the time they get to know me, they want me off at that point, Mike. But thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
I do what I
No,
want.
By the way, I'm buying my shirts pre-stained now. It just saves time.
That's
Now, Mike does it nightly.
and she loves it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I buy my shirts pre-wrinkled because who irons anymore?
I have not ironed. I'll shake out my T-shirts and I'll throw them in a drawer, lying flat. They're going on me. If I'm moving around, the humidity off my body will flatten them out and give them a nice, even finish. And if people don't like it and they say something about it, I'm not going to be hurt.
Well,
Okay.
I hate to say this, but we're starting to run out of time. And I just want to make sure that we got in any plugs that you might have of upcoming shows or anything going on.
Yeah, I am so busy right now. Let me see. Actually, I do have a show November the 14th with Joe Conklin. He's a big deal down here in Philly. He's an incredible impressionist, and he does all the local guys down here, Philly announcers and stuff like that. And he draws like a fly. No, he draws very well. And so I'll be there November 14th in Sellersville, Pennsylvania, at the Sellersville Theater. It's a nice gig. Hopefully they'll be, properly distanced and all that stuff. It's the first indoor gig I've done since, what is it, up in, for Scott Bruce, his room. Mohican Sun up there in Wilkes-Barre.
That was in January.
It was the end of February.
Oh, the end of February, right.
And my joke there is, the best thing about Wilkes-Barre? The hyphen. That's my Wilkes-Barre joke. The hyphen. So that was the last time I worked really indoors. And the next time will be in November. I've done, like I said, some shows out in tents.
Who knows what it's going to be like? Who knows how long it's going to be?
Well, I'm doing
until it
an
gets
indoor
back
show
to-
tonight and tomorrow at Scotty's Comedy Cove in Springfield. But
Oh, really?
by the time this airs, it will have happened already. So it doesn't
How
make
will
sense.
it have been, Tom? How will you
It
have
would have
done?
been awesome.
So how are you going to
This is
open?
going to air after you performed?
This is going to air in
Is this
what,
going to go on?
This is going to be
3 weeks from now?
I think it's the 2 Tuesdays after this coming Tuesday, Mike. Yeah, I don't have my calendar.
Well, then
But
just
it's
say
I'll send you.
Say you killed.
I'll send you a copy of this. We're going to get you a poster with the date on it, so you can promote it.
Yeah,
as
we've
you
been
go.
pre-recording and keeping them in the can, waiting for them to air.
Oh,
So
all
we
right.
were doing our show
Now-
every other Tuesday, but now we're every Tuesday. So this week we were getting a little ahead. But yeah. Anyway, what else? What else is funny, guys?
Scotty's Comedy Cove. It's
Oh, the Comedy Cove.
yeah,
Yes.
Where'd Scotty come in?
it's called Scotty's Comedy Cove.
Well, it was Scotty's Steakhouse. It's the Comedy Cove at Scotty's Steakhouse.
What? Wait, I'm getting this confused with another. Didn't I do the Comedy Cove?
You did the Comedy Cove years ago.
That's in. Where's it at? What town?
Springfield.
Springfield.
Yeah, I did that. I thought. Is the restaurant downstairs?
Yeah.
And the comedy room's up top.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked there. But now I'm in South Jersey now, and it's a 2-hour drive each way. And for the bucks that they're paying, personally,
Yeah.
when I lived up in North Jersey, it was kind of worth it.
Right.
It wasn't that far of a drive, but
Hey, where'd you live in
yeah,
North
I did
Jersey?
that. What's that?
Where'd you live in North Jersey?
The last place I lived was
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne. No, was it Hawthorne? No, it wasn't Hawthorne. It was in near Glen Rock.
Okay.
I lived in Glen Rock, and then most of the time with Glen Rock. That was wife number 3.
3.
I was wife number 3, and we were together about 12, 13 years. Then she found out what I did for a living, and so that ended that.
You know what comic went to high school in Glen Rock?
Who? No.
Uncle Floyd.
Oh, I know Floyd. I didn't
Yeah.
know he went to Glen Rock. Yeah, we're friends. Floyd Bavino. He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
It's corny as hell, but
Oh, yeah.
people love him. I love him. I love his shtick.
Well, he's the one that got me into comedy.
I'm no kidding.
Yeah, we used to hang out at the bagel shop together. He heard some of my one-liners. One thing led to another, and now I'm a comedian.
Wow. I had one thing led to another, and she was pregnant. So your end is much better. than
Yada,
mine
yada,
was.
yada.
But yeah, no, I
Now I'm a
wasn't
comedian.
Well,
That could go-
anyway,
that could go
I
a
wasn't
lot of
Floyd.
ways.
He's a good guy. Good guy.
A lot of things could happen before yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, I know.
So I stuck a
Yada,
gun
yada, yada.
in his face and
Yeah.
I said, give me all your money. Yada, yada, yada. Now I'm a comedian.
Right.
I don't know. I
Right.
don't know why I thought that.
Remember Yada Yada from Seinfeld?
Yep.
The Yada Yada episode?
Uh-huh.
I have to say though, I could always tell Larry David's humor, and that was the one that always connected more with me than Seinfeld.
Yeah, that was George. Larry, I knew pretty well. I mean, not really. We worked there at the Improv from time to time. And he was one of my very favorite comics because he was absolutely tortured on stage. I mean, he was not comfortable doing stand-up, but he was hysterical. And the pain that he went through to get through his stuff. He's the one who came up with the line, "A picnic is no picnic." He's the bugs and the ants and the thing. That's his line. A picnic is no picnic. So, I mean, he said, "I got mail the other day." Just mail. I got mail. And the way he does it was, for a car insurance thing. He didn't have a car. But he said, it's always a great day when you get mail. And people would just look at him. And it was hysterical.
That sounds like people looking at me and feeling. Anyway.
Yeah. The only difference between you and Larry David is about $200 million.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Only difference.
I know. Thank you for saying that. I feel the same way. I'm saving up though.
Well, with today's skyrocketing interest rates, it should be happening in no time. I think you get 0.25% on the dollar. So
Wow.
I know we got to invest in the next thing. I don't know what it's going to be. Some sort of full body face cover, a full body covering.
maybe,
Body condom.
or maybe, I
Yeah.
think on a serious note, I think you have stock in Pfizer, don't you? She has stock in Pfizer. Anybody who finds a vaccine for this thing, that's where the money's going to be.
And you're moving.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't believe nobody thought of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. One of those guys are going to break through and make big bucks.
Oh, yeah.
It'll probably be branded Trump's serum. He'll brand everything.
I have a feeling that the day after his last coronavirus briefing, that the stock in Clorox skyrocketed.
That's right. That's right. Went right through the roof.
Emma, call up the broker. This is going to be huge.
Well,
Well,
So
before-
did you guys try? Did you guys try to inject yourself somehow with antiseptic?
Well, she's been needling me.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, see that? Yeah. Yeah. Little play on words there.
That's very funny.
Very little.
My job. And, I stabbed her.
Okay,
She
so
told
listen,
me,
before the show ends, why don't you put the lovely Karen Faye so we can see her, since she's been helping us see you the entire show. We want to say hello to her.
right, turn the thing.
Hello.
Looking
Hey,
lovely. Hi,
Karen.
Karen. How are you?
Um, I'm right here. See? I'm right
Yay.
here.
Look at that.
Yeah, she's up for the Jamie Lee Curtis story.
Yes, that's
Here,
right.
honey, I'll hold that for you. I'll hold that for you during the show.
She held it for
Honey,
me the whole
that's
show.
that's not the iPad. Oh, shut up, Mike. Enjoy your show.
That's
now,
right. See?
On your resume, you could add you've been an Eagan handler.
That's right.
That's right. And she kept it up for almost an hour now.
Yeah.
So,
So how do you deal with having a tapir in the home, Karen? Is it well behaved? Do you have to clean
Very
up
well
after it?
behaved. Very, very well behaved. And that is what our grandson calls Mike.
yeah, he calls me Purr.
Purr. He
I-
calls him Purr.
It's
Yeah.
close
That's
enough.
good.
Yeah.
He calls him Purr, and Mike likes it, and it's just always just been Taper.
I don't know why, but nobody else was doing tapers in their act.
That's right.
And I figured,
No,
what the
I
heck?
think it's important. There was a time I dallied around with bringing a comfort llama into my act.
Oh, Mike Eagan? Mike Eagan? Oh, he's the taper comic.
That's how I'm known now.
That's how he's known.
That's the guy with the tape. Yeah. So, although a llama would be good, it's just harder to get on a plane.
Well, that's it. People always give me problems. I'm like, I have all the documentation.
Right.
I
No,
told him
always.
instead of a llama, use an alpaca. An alpaca. You can use the line alpaca bag to go on the trip.
I could use
That's
that.
right.
That's
That's a
right. I
good one.
could. I'm going to toss that one over to Karen.
No,
But
no,
you know what? You know what would improve that joke immensely, Tom? You
Not
figure
joke.
out a way, you got to include a ShamWow. Okay?
That's right.
That's what I've learned. I learned that from Tom. That
Doug
if
is
you add a
mad.
ShamWow, I don't have punchlines. And Tom's like, he tries to help me because he feels sorry for me, thinking, he's like, oh, poor Doug. He thinks he's a comedian. He doesn't get the laughs. So he gave me ShamWow. He's like, Doug, you're sitting on a ShamWow. So I tell that in my set, and of course it gets the biggest laugh. It crushes me because I know where that came from.
Well, you take him where you can get him.
He's a good friend, so I can accept it. He's a good friend, so I can accept it.
That was a product that came and went.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't hear much about that anymore.
no.
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 It wasn't a complete sham, though.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
On that note,
Wow. Oh
thanks
my
for
God.
tuning in to Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max. We want to thank our guests.
On that note, now they're not want to hear another tune now. On that note.
Don't forget, if you're planning a comedy show, call Jack, email Jack at jirwinproductions.com. He'll get you the best show available. And I want to thank you again for coming on. And until next time, nanu nanu.
Okay, guys.
Mike Eagan and Karen Faye, thank you guys so much.
You're
Stay
welcome.
safe, guys.
Anytime.
You too.
All right, you too.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
There you go.
I don't know how to turn this off.
I don't know.
No, neither do I. How do you turn this off? Wait a minute.
I don't
Do
know.
you hit?
Turn them off.
Oh, do you-
I don't know how to turn.
We don't-